First, just invite all the student leaders that are here to come a little closer. Come closer, everybody. I feel like you're all very far away, and this is about you. This is me supporting you in this amazing, amazing day, in this amazing adventure, endeavor. You guys are the future. And I want to say that this, right here, all of you, this is what democracy looks like. It doesn't happen automatically. It demands our action and our participation. It challenges us, but it also empowers us. Because at the end of the day, it really is us. And that's why you've marched and you've written letters and you've sat in and died in and you've gathered signatures. And that's why you've registered people to vote. And that's why you're going to vote in the midterms. That's why you've organized. That's why you've raised your voice to tell your stories and use your own platforms so that others could too, because you know, you've seen with your own eyes just how much is at stake. But the good news is that in a democracy like ours, the real power isn't with that man in the White House. The real power is inside of every one of you. Yeah. And let me tell you, we have a whole lot more love and hope on our side than they have assholes. So never doubt your place in our country and its future. Never doubt your ability to drive change. Replace that doubt with the courage to dare. Dare to make a difference. Dare to raise your voice. Dare to be a megaphone for others. Democracy takes courage. It takes guts. But most of all, it takes all of you. So 2 years ago, 49 people were shot and killed inside the Pulse nightclub. And today, we honor all the victims of gun violence, not by our thoughts and prayers, but by action. After Parkland, some friends and I started an anti-NRA organization called No RA. No Rifle Association. What No RA does is shine a light on the magnitude of the stronghold the NRA has over our politicians. And this stronghold prevents these politicians from voting in common sense gun reform laws that will make our country safer. So I would like to read for you now our own gun safety Bill of Rights. We the people face a crisis, a mortal crisis. Every year, tens of thousands of innocent people are killed or seriously wounded by guns. And yet, as much as we seek to enact gun safety and gun control legislation, we find ourselves stymied from doing so by the NRA and the politicians it owns. Armed with an extraordinary financial power and political influence, the NRA militantly opposes any such effort. The time has come for us to act. Thus reaffirming the Declaration of Independence, promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, acknowledging the disproportionate impact gun violence has on communities of color who have for too long been sidelined in this discussion. Proclaiming anew our determination to secure a more perfect union for all who call our nation home, and asserting the fundamental truth that human lives are worth more than money. We hereby affirm, assert, and demand the following rights. The right of all of us, including those of all races, religions, classes, creeds, gender identities, sexual identities, abilities, ages, and locations to equal protection from gun violence. The us to know the extent of gun violence in our nation, the right of all of our children to live free of gun violence and to attend gun-free schools. The right of the mentally ill, including those who are suicidal, to prevention from gun violence, including self-inflicted gun violence. The right of the people to have greater access and influence over governmental policy that corporations and special interest groups. Moreover, to realize and guarantee those rights, we demand that our government places the prevention of gun violence high on the public agenda. We demand that the federal government funds rigorous, apolitical, scientific studies of the effects of gun violence in our nation. We demand action by federal, state, and local authorities to reduce and prevent gun violence in their communities and by law enforcement agencies. We demand the reform and retraining of law enforcement and armed public officials to focus on de-escalation of conflict rather than the use of force. We demand that those who suffer the most from gun violence receive the most immediate remedies for gun violence. We demand laws prohibiting those with a history of violent or harassing behavior from owning or gaining possession of firearms. And we demand ongoing legislative efforts which uphold the rights stated herein until the scourge of gun violence is ended in America for all that call her home. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who had me here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you to the students. Thank you to all the partners. I now have the honor of introducing Deborah Nelson. And Deborah is representing her daughter, Monique Roxanne Nelson, in the gun safety movement. Thank you very much.